Hi everybody, welcome back to Small Caliber Arms Review. I'm Richard. I don't know if you'll remember this rifle. This is a Winchester Model 67. It's one of the very early reviews I did when I started doing this channel. And one of the things I noticed about it, it shot great, but it didn't always shoot. Sometimes I'd pull the trigger and the round wouldn't go off, so I'd have to cock it, pull the trigger again, and it might go off on the second or third try. And I think the problem with that is this bolt moves very easy, and it shouldn't move quite that easy, because when you pull this down, it's supposed to kind of cam into place and push the bolt up against the breech face in the barrel here and close that up so that when the firing pin hits it, it hits nice and solid. This has got some slop in it. It's got a lot of wear into it. So I'm thinking that the firing pin's not hitting hard enough because it's not closed up against the breech face enough. Now, excessive wear can cause case rupturing or bulging at the base of it. So I'm going to take and fix this, I hope anyways. I'm going to attempt it. Now, one of the things I need to do is I need to build up a little bit of metal on the back side of the bolt right there, and that'll cause the bolt to go forward a little bit farther so that when it closes, it's nice and tight up against that breech face. When the firing pin goes off, it hits nice and hard on there. No slop in there, so I'm not getting the reaction of the firing pin hitting and pushing the bolt back that little tiny bit. Now, you can see the wear on this. The nickel has pretty much been eaten completely away off of the bolt handle there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and attempt to strip the nickel off of this, weld that up just enough to give it a little bit more push forward, and I'll probably have to do some filing to get it smoothed down. I got very little surface area there to weld to, but I'm going to get that welded up, get the nickel stripped off, get it welded up, and then I'm going to polish it up and replate it, because if I'm going to go through all that, I might as well make it like new again. Now, if you ever watch any of Larry Potterfield's videos from Midway, USA, he will suggest that you pick up a Model 67 if you want to try a little bit of gunsmithing or restoration or anything, because they're such a simple rifle, and they really are. Anyways, let's get this thing taken apart and then get to working on it. All right, now since we're only going to be doing the bolt on that, we're just going to take the bolt out. It's an easy one to take out. Just pull your bolt up, pull your trigger all the way back, and the bolt pulls right out. Now we can get all the other stuff out of the way and just concentrate on the bolt itself. All right, we'll go ahead and get a hammer and punch out. We got to drive that pin out of there. Make sure the bolt is not cocked, whatever you do. Get that pin out of there. Now we should just be able to go ahead and pull everything out of the bolt. And remember the way it goes in there too. All right, we'll go ahead and take this pin out too. And remember that if it's like that, then that pin sticks out. It's flush on this side and not flush on that side. So we're going to go ahead and blue this, and we'll nickel plate this, maybe. Now there is a spring there, but should not be any under any tension there. At least not much tension. Well, it's under a little bit. Interesting how that piece is done in there. It's a separate piece, and you can see the wear on it there. You can see where that's kind of, let me get something to point with here. You can see where there's some wear on there. And that's the part we need to build up a little bit. So we're going to build just a little bit of carbon steel, mild steel weld up on that, and then file it down, and hopefully build it up enough to close that on there a little bit better. Okay, so I'm going to get my solution mixed up here. We're going to put, let's see, I've got about 80 milliliters of sulfuric acid I pulled out of an old battery. So we're going to put about, let's put about 800 milliliters of water, distilled water in here. There we go. We're going to do about a 10% mix on the acid to water. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the heating element in here and get it warmed up just a little bit. Now I've got a lead electrode in here, and that's what you're supposed to use, I guess. I don't know, but we're going to give it a try anyways. And the negative lead is going to go on the lead. We're going to do reverse electroplating here pretty much. And the positive is going to go on the part, and we're going to hang the parts from a copper wire. Now I took these up and degreased them and cleaned them all up. Got a little piece of copper wire right here, and we'll go ahead and get it put in there. And we'll go ahead and remember, pour your acid in the water. That way it weakens the solution as you're pouring it in there. If you do it the other way around, it can cause an exothermic reaction and cause some violent boiling. All right, now we'll go ahead and clip this on here. Now this does not take nearly as long as what it did to plate stuff, so we should just be able to hold it in there. I'm going to turn that heat down a little bit and go ahead and turn my power supply on, and we'll see what it does. We should get a little bit of gassing here pretty much immediately. There we go, it's starting to gas a little bit. Now Larry Potterfield does this with a battery, which is a lot more amperage than what I'm kicking out here, so I slowly keep turning it up just a little bit, the amperage and voltage. All right, done with the nickel stripping on there. All right, now comes the tedious part of cleaning all this up and getting it ready, getting it polished up and everything ready for nickel after I get all this cleaned up. Okay, I've got the bolt cleaned up and polished up. I stripped all the nickel off of it and everything, and I practiced a little bit with this cold welding thing on here. The cold welding thing is not going to do what I hoped it would do, but I still have the option to do a regular TIG weld, and hopefully I can get this just right. Like I said, I'm not used to having this button on the back here, and I'm gonna try to put just a little bit of weld. I got some 70S2 wire here. This is carbon steel wire, and I'm gonna try to put just a couple little dabs along there real quick. You run that tungsten out just a little more so it's kind of out of the way. I did practice on the end of a file just to, you know, try it, I guess. And it doesn't need much. But we're going to see what I can do here. Yeah, see that? I guess maybe the foot pedal would be good for something like this, because I could turn it on, turn it off. The button is on the back here, so I'm going to give it a shot. And it doesn't take long. It wasn't much I needed to weld up on there, but that should be enough to build up the amount of metal I need on there to get this thing to close right. I will have to do some filing and then actually fit it into the rifle and see how it comes out. Okay, now this is exactly what I did want to happen. We'll go ahead and take the bolt. I got the rifle set up here. I don't have any of the internals in there. But we'll go ahead and put the bolt in, pull the trigger back so I can slide it all the way in and close it. And I can't close it. And that's a good thing, because I got to do a little bit of filing right there. That metal I built up on there now needs to be taken down just a little bit and polished up so it slides in there smoothly. But yeah, that is exactly what I wanted, and that'll make the bolt go all the way up against the breech face so that it should fire reliably. Okay, I've got my parts all cleaned up, polished up, degreased, and I need to get them in this solution of nickel acetate with my nickel conductor in there and get them plated. So we're going to do the bolt first, and it is nice and clean and highly polished, and I mean, it looks like it's almost done already, but we're going to get it done the right way. So let's grab one of these wires here and should be able to get it in there. And we should be able to just go ahead and hang it in and get it going. I'm running 4 volts at half an amp, somewhere around there. And we will have to pick it up and turn it every now and then to get it to do its thing. All right, we'll let that sit for a little bit and get a good coating on there. Okay, I went ahead and shut the stirrer off because the bubbles make it hard to see what's going on in there. But it's been about, let's see, I said 5 minutes. It's been about 8 minutes total time in there. We'll go ahead and pull it out and take a look. Now I can see there's nickel plating on the copper wires, so there should be just about the same amount on the actual piece itself. Let's do a little rinse in the water here. Now this stuff isn't nearly as hazardous as the sulfuric acid I used to strip the nickel plating from it, but we'll give it a rinse anyways, dry it off a little bit. So we'll get that dried off, and I think we're going to call that good. I wanted to turn it so that I made sure I got nickel on the bolt face there and on the inside of the bolt and everything. Now if there's anything that did not get nickel plated, it's definitely going to need to be oiled, but it's a gun, so we want to keep them oiled anyways. But I'm thinking right now it's looking pretty good. I already got the safety in there, it's cooking too, so once that's done, then I should be able to just blue the cocking knob and then put this thing back together. All right, the last part of this little bolt project, the fixing of the Winchester Model 67, is going to be to blue the cocking knob on there. Now what I got to do is I'm going to use, this is Brownell's Oxbow blue, and it's a little different than the super blue I used before. It says danger, corrosive, respiratory irritant, may be fatal if swallowed. But this one doesn't require the rinse like the other one does. The instructions say it may be advisable to remove excessive rust with fine abrasive cloth. Thin oil and thin rust need not be removed. So that's pretty cool. Dampen a small cotton pad with Oxbow blue and rub area to be retouched until colored. Wipe dry with a clean cloth and burnish bright with single-aught steel wool or finer. I like to use 4-aught, and I got a piece sitting over here behind me. So I'm going to go ahead and get me a paper towel ready. I've got this, I had this soaking in acetone, which is not necessary according to the Oxbow blue. So we'll move that out of the way. It is, well, it should be degreased now, but it's not necessary, so. All right, I'm just going to take a little bit of this. We'll just get a little bit out of there. I should not need more than that for the little cocking knob that I'm doing. So we'll set that to the side. I got my little cotton pad there. We're going to put the lid on this because last thing I need to do is bump it and knock it over. And we'll just take a little bit of this on the cotton pad, and that's pretty much all that I got on there. And we'll just wipe it on and see what it does. All right, we'll wipe it dry with a clean cloth. Burnish with a little steel wool. And it looks like we are going to do it again because that didn't really give me very good results from what I could tell. To me, it really does not seem to have changed at all. And it could be the type of steel that this is made out of too. Sometimes that will have an effect on things. We'll do it multiple times and see how it goes. It doesn't look bad. I just think that I like the Super Blue a little bit better. I think it gets darker quicker. Does not look bad, but I just don't think it's quite as good looking as it was with the other stuff. Maybe it's just because it's a small part and this part is, you know, it's probably a hardened steel or something like that, so it might not take the bluing as well. But it is pretty shiny. All right, let's get this all cleaned up and get this bolt put back together. Okay, that was way easier than what I thought. I did rewind my video earlier to see exactly how that was because I kind of forgot things a little bit. The pins actually went in really easy, which is kind of scary, and I do see a couple little punch marks on here like it was staked so that it would not back out. But all right, now we got the rifle over here. Now it's been polished and plated, and now let's put it back in. The most important part was I welded up the little bit on there that needed the, so it would fit tighter in there. So we'll pull the trigger, push it in, and that's a lot better there. There's no slop, there's no gap in there like there was before, and it actually takes a little bit of effort now to open it up. And the safety still works. Pull it back. It looks pretty nice that I blued that cocking handle there. And then you just take that and flip it over. And there's your safety. Can't pull the trigger. Go ahead and flip that down. And we'll let it down easy because it is rimfire. And I'm pretty happy with it. It all works now. Works like it's supposed to. It just looks bad with the rest of the rifle. Maybe that'll be another project. All right, guys, we're out here on the range with the Model 67 after I've welded everything up, and I'm going to take, let's take about 3 shots, maybe 5 shots with the, for accuracy, because I realized I never actually did an accuracy test with this thing. So we're going to go ahead and give it a shot. We'll get a round loaded in there. Now this is after having welded up the bolt and everything. I'm going to give it a try. And just at the 7-yard target there and see what we get. Super heavy trigger pull on this thing, which is kind of weird, but it is what it is. And it did fire, so it's still functional. Gotta remember to pull that back. Something I got to get used to. We'll do one more. I already lost count. All right, it fired all those rounds just fine. I think that was 5, I'm not sure. Let's go look real quick. Well, I was hoping I was going to come up here and count the number of holes in it, but looks like there's 2. I'm pretty sure that was more than 2 rounds. Thing shoots great. And so far it's reliable. Let's just blast a few more rounds through it at the steel target and see how it does. All right, the whole idea of doing what I did to this gun was because there was an issue with reliability on it, and it would not fire all the rounds all the time. And that got to be a problem, and it was because the bolt was loose in there. It did not fit tight up against the breech face. So I needed to do something to get that tightened up in there. So all I did was just build up a little bit of metal on the back side of the bolt there where it encounters or engages with the receiver there to close the bolt. And that was really all it needed to be fixed, really. It is a very good gun, and there were a bunch of these things made over the years. Now, I don't know if they're all wore out like this. Do they all still have that same issue with them? I don't know, but they are a great gun for practicing your gunsmithing if you want to be an amateur gunsmith, or just if you're a hobbyist like me and just like to you know, tinker with old guns like this. And like I said, on Midway USA's Facebook or YouTube page, Larry Potterfield suggests if you're going to get one of these guns, if you want to try some amateur gunsmithing or just like to tinker with them and stuff, go ahead and pick one of these up, because there were a lot of them made, and they're really a simple, very simple rifle. Yeah, this thing shoots fine. I like it. It's still a little loose in the back there like it was before. Maybe this could be pinched down. I don't think it really needs it. But the important part is, now that when it closes, it actually pushes it all the way up against the front there, which is the problem it had before. And you can see it's a lot nicer finish on the bolt now. But it's an improvement for sure. Old rifles like this Model 67 can be a whole lot of fun, and if they're in good working order, they're going to be good, reliable guns. And apparently this one is really great on the accuracy. I picked it up, like I said, a long time ago. It's one of the very early videos I did on my channel, and I got it pretty cheap. Tax and everything out the door was, I think, less than $100. So it's a good project rifle, and it's a good shooting rifle. If you want to take it out and do a little bit of rabbit hunting or squirrel hunting or something, great choice for it. And like I said, it's something if you want to practice a little bit of gunsmithing and see what you can do, and maybe just if you want to just try doing the wood stock on it and everything. Now, I have not finished this. It's still the same old dirty wood stock. It's got some really pretty grain in it. This may be a candidate for another restoration, and it gives me an opportunity to practice my gunsmithing or gun refinishing skills, I guess. Anyways, if you could, reach up here and hit this button to check out some of my other videos. Hit the little round one down here to subscribe if you haven't already, and thanks for watching Small Caliber Arms Review.